Hello and welcome to the Wealth Wednesday show. We believe you're doing well as we are, and of course, keeping financially healthy. Today, we are going to discuss about master your mind, then you master your money. We can all agree that the mindset plays a major role when it comes to how you handle money, your attitude towards money, how you think about money, and how much money will come to you in your lifetime. That is something. But I always say it's the mindset before the asset. Work on your mindset, then the assets will definitely find their way to you. And today we have one of the best financial speakers in the world. Her name is Keena Pettyjohn. She's the CEO and founder of Lifelogix. I don't know. She will say it to us as she introduces herself. And Kina has been on the forefront of driving financial wellness to people, especially in organizations and as well as individuals. She has been featured on various platforms locally and internationally, and she has massive years of experience in this field. So, Kina, good morning. Please allow introduce yourself to our audience.
Well, first and foremost, Sheila, I am more than honored and thrilled that you asked me to be on your Financial Wellness Center broadcast. And that I'm thrilled that you contacted me from all across the world, from where you're featuring this podcast. I'm proud to say that I am very passionate and fervent about financial wellness. I started my firm after 30 years of working for large corporations at age 65. And I have realized the importance of the mindset when you're approaching your money. Lifelogix, which is the firm that I started, is a consultancy firm that works with fintechs, startups, and established enterprise that really want to involve educational, whether it be financial, physical, or mental, into their employees or their individuals coming on into their organization. So, Lifelogix was founded on health, wealth, and happiness, which I think is the best way to approach any topic. So, health, wealth, and happiness was the tenets upon which Lifelogix was founded. But when I started it, I didn't realize that it was dedicated to the technology solutions that embrace that. So in the last 3 to 5 years, you start to see newcomers in the technology suite or technology stack that starts to build technology that embraces wellness. And it starts very easily with asking simple questions about how are you planning for your retirement? How do you feel about money that you've saved? How do you feel about your budget? Are you really using your credit cards because you don't have the assets in the bank? So they're asking you very simple, straightforward questions in an effort to see how well you are doing on saving, which is important, budgeting, planning for long-term goals, or understanding educational basic concepts. This is where the technology starts and assesses the individual to see how they score. It's called a wellness score, and it's a cumulative score of the 4 different tenets. And 5 years ago, when I started Lifelogix, we had talked about wellness, the mindset, but we had used assessments as it related to credit scores, which obviously everyone understands their credit scores. We had used the assessment in regard to your net worth. We understand what your liabilities are, what your assets are, and what you're in debt for, which is net worth. We understood that particular number. We understood from a portfolio perspective what your risk capacity number was in terms of how much risk you want to take on your investments. The newcomer to the world of technology solutions is a financial wellness number. And that starts the conversation so the individual can appreciate how well they're doing relative to their peer group. It also starts to identify for the individual what areas they need help with. The first, obviously, is understanding budgeting or saving. One of the interesting studies that I had just read about is, as a result of COVID and as a result of being much more aware of the fragility of your finances as well as your loved ones, people are really focusing on creating more cash reserves or a nest egg. Very important. With that is now becoming very significant to them, paying down debt. So wellness is not only a mindset, but people are starting to realize, you know what? I don't have the basic budget to cover an unexpected emergency. There was a study that was done that many Americans, including global, are having a hard time covering a $500 unexpected emergency. They don't have the additional cash reserves to cover an unexpected medical emergency. They're seeing that 60% of individuals are living paycheck to paycheck. So when you're asking someone to take what's left over after paying their basic debt, taking care of their family, trying to take care of the clothing or the basics, you're asking a lot of them. So that's where I had set up from the beginning, master your mind and master your money. In an effort for an individual to have a positive experience with their money, you're asking them to have a relationship, a disciplined relationship. And it really goes back to when you're a child. And I find this very interesting. When you're a child, you listen to your parents talking about money. They may talk about it over the dinner table. It may be that the woman of the household made the decisions or not, but it wasn't something that was freely talked about. In fact, it was more of a negative conversation in the fact that don't spend all of your allowance, which actually guilted you in terms of the money you had. We don't have enough money to pay for that. So it started to give you a very negative feeling about your money. So this is kind of an interesting psychological or behavioral. Since your mindset is established as early as age 5, from your families and the conversations, that financial DNA stays with you for the rest of your life. So people say, you know, you need more education. And that's great because there's a plethora of information about education, basic investment concepts, and it's offered in many sources. But the other aspect is you're not open to learning if your mindset is closed. So how do we go about getting a very positive mindset? And that starts with the roots of saying, you know, I'm open. And the way that I think people are open is to create something automated. You know, it's not easy to change a mindset, but if you do it in an automated fashion, and there's many softwares out there that will literally take pennies or dollars that will sweep it away from your checking account or savings account and earmark it into another basket. So what I share with people is, you know, it's difficult to budget because we always want, you know, whatever emergency is coming up and we can't plan for it. So if you have an automated savings plan, and you can do that online, that will automatically round up for the dollar or the two or the five to a basket. And I basically call these mental envelopes. So in your mind, if you're saying, you know what, I want to automatically save from this account so much dollars for a vehicle or for my home or for my daughter's wedding. And what you start to do is think about digital envelopes. And there are actually technologies that do that for you. But the best way I like to do it is take actual physical envelopes, put them on a desk
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
see where your envelopes are going. You say, all right, well, whether it is education, whether it is
Mhm.
clothing, a second
Mhm.
home, a first home, but more
Mhm.
important, or travel. Put your
Yeah.
envelopes on your desk and say, okay, I have $100 sitting in front of me,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
take whatever it is to travel, just take it off the
Yeah.
pile. You put it on
Mhm.
in terms of education, whatever it is,
Mhm.
or basically
Mhm.
improving yourself. Maybe there's some course curriculum that you want to do. But the best
Yeah.
thing to do is to take the
Mhm.
money, put it into physical envelopes. Now you can
Mhm.
literally take your working accounts, whether you're at a bank
Mhm.
or whether you're at a credit union, it doesn't matter. And now you are
Mhm.
intentionally earmarking the money every month to be
Mhm.
swept out. And the best way
Mhm.
to change a mindset is to create a
Mhm.
disciplined behavior. The best way to
Ah,
create
yeah.
a disciplined behavior is have it done
Mhm.
automatically for you, which is you won't even know that it's
Mhm.
missing. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, just like saving for
Mhm.
retirement, you're seeing the
Mhm.
money grow. And when you're young, you
Mhm.
have the most opportune time to save
Mhm.
money over a longer
Mhm.
term. You can
Mhm.
diversify how your money will be invested, whether it's just a
Mhm.
simple online robo
Mhm.
investment that you can do from your phone, whether it's a
Mhm.
simple online in terms of automated investing from your bank account. But the
Mhm.
easiest way to do it is saying, you know what, I'm going to save. And then
Mhm.
you have technology do it for you. And that
Yeah.
way, when it's done automatically, you feel good.
Mhm. Mhm.
The cents is turned into dollars. You are able to see that it is growing. And the best part about it, it's intentional. And I always
Yeah.
say, no one saves a
Mhm.
dollar unless it's
Mhm.
intentional. So the meeting
Mhm.
of the mind and the meeting of the
Mhm.
money starts to
Mhm.
become a behavior in a positive
Mhm.
fashion when you are
Mhm.
doing it in an automatic method. That way it
Mhm.
helps and it reinforces. But the other thing I wanted to say in terms of the envelopes,
Mhm.
and I shared this with you a little bit, Sheila, is
Mhm.
about the concept of the dream board. You know, we talked
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah,
and I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
the pictures of the animals, which I think remind you of your native home. And the reason
Yeah.
I talk about the dream board, and there is a study that
Mhm.
has been done by Massachusetts Institute of Technology, is that
Mhm.
most of our information, in fact, it's
Mhm.
90%. I just looked at the study.
Mhm.
90% of our information is retained
Mhm.
and comprehended visually. So by putting together a dream board and seeing it,
Mhm.
even if you take pictures of your favorite car or your favorite vacation or your favorite house, by visualizing it, you will
Yeah.
now comprehend that's important to you. So that was my envelope and my dream board theory.
Absolutely amazing. You know, you have spoken a lot of things, and there's one thing you mentioned that no one saves or invests unless it is intentional.
Yes.
Because this answers the question why people will tell you, you know, I'm unable to save or I earn little. How can I save now? What do we mean by this statement of no one saves unless it's intentional?
That is I'm glad you asked that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that I use the word intentional is no
Mm-hmm.
matter how you are setting up your path to learn
Mm-hmm.
about an investment concept or learn about the avenues available for you to save.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have decided, which is intentional,
Yeah.
that starts to earmark not only your
Mm-hmm.
behaviors, but where the money basket is going. If
Yeah.
you decide, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to get a career, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go into this industry, or I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to, become upper management, whatever it is, you have now intended, just like a GPS in a car.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know where you're going, which is intentional, and you plan your
Mm-hmm.
path, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
professional or personally
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
direction that you
Mhm.
want to intend to go. So I use the word intentional because in the
Yeah.
industry, financial services, not only do we want to
Mhm.
be intentional on the customer journey, we want to be
Yeah.
contextual, which means relevant. And unless it's
Mhm.
relevant to that individual's life,
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense. And they're not going to incorporate that behavior unless it's
Mhm.
important to them. That's what I meant by intentional.
Absolutely. Thank you for the clarification. And Keena, recently we've seen a rise in numbers on people who have financial stress. Now, this has become another epidemic
Yes.
besides having current pandemic. Now, how can one handle financial stress in a way that they get to experience financial wellness?
I love that question because I didn't realize until I did some research that the
Mhm.
number one stress was
Mhm.
financial. It's what
Mhm.
keeps people up at night. And it not only spills over to the individual, but it spills over to the workplace because in the workplace, they have done many, many studies that
Mhm.
financial stress, which is number one, impacts the employee not only in regard to absenteeism and
Mhm.
turnover, but also a
Mhm.
reduction in productivity. So
Yeah.
financial stress as the number one is not just an individual concern, it is a
Mhm.
workplace concern. And one of the ways that you can handle it is in terms of entering into a financial literacy program. But again,
Mhm.
when people can't make ends meet, they're
Mhm.
indicating, even in the workplace wellness, that
Mhm.
employees are not only
Mhm.
preoccupied because they're talking about it during their day and they're thinking about their bills they have to pay. That's a lot of
Yeah.
time. So
Mhm.
it is something that will create bad health. I know this sounds really interesting, but they also did a study that bad
Mhm.
wealth leads to bad health. And
Oh,
again, so
mhm.
financial stress is not just psychological and emotional, it can have
Mhm.
serious physical implications as well, health concerns. So, again, I love the question in terms of stress. We
Mhm.
used to talk about that 30 years ago as what keeps you up at night. That is financial
Mhm.
stress. I know at 3 o'clock
Mhm.
in the morning, I could literally be
Mhm.
woken up out of a sound sleep and think about, oh my gosh, I have to pay those bills. So they're finding that
Mhm.
financial stress is the number one. If you can't offer financial wellness literacy programs, and we know that
Mhm.
financial literacy is a pandemic with no vaccine in sight, it's very, very hard to be combative as it relates
Mhm.
to financial stress. But yes, it is the number one. They did a poll recently, and more than
Mhm.
60% of employees said, you know what, my employer
Mhm.
does not even offer
Mhm.
a financial wellness program at work.
Yeah.
They're not even
Mhm.
offering access
Mhm.
to a
Mhm.
financial coach in the
Mhm.
workplace. So it's not as
Mhm.
if it's not important, it's just not being available to each and every person in the workplace.
Mhm.
And for those
Mhm.
even that are
Mhm.
not available in terms of banking or what I call underbanked and underserved. So there's a
Mhm.
real tall order that we have to fill to resolve financial stress.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And at the start, we mentioned about money mindsets. And someone could be wondering, are there types of money mindsets, or how could you elaborate on that?
Okay, well let's understand what a money mindset is. We'll just start with that. It is
Yeah.
actually a learned behavior. So money mindset
Mhm.
is not a nebulous concept. Money
Mhm.
mindset is a learned behavior that you
Mhm.
have identified with from your
Mhm.
very
Mhm.
young age. It's
Yeah.
actually the conversations you were exposed to across the dinner
Mhm.
table. It is the
Mm-hmm.
way that your family handled their money discussions with, and they indicate as early as age 5 is when you are
Mm-hmm.
imprinted with your money
Mm-hmm.
mindset. And that's why they're actually trying to do much more financial literacy programs to children as young as age 5, because they start to develop
Mm-hmm.
their mindset in terms of a positive or negative attitude about money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a behavioral uh,
Ah,
positioning.
absolutely. And as we are coming almost to an end, I would love you to share with us what are some of the habits that someone can embrace in order to develop a positive money mindset that will help them, achieve their financial goals in a comfortable way.
Well, the best thing is that because we're in a digital world, I mean, we do live in a in person and digital. If I was a young person, and I'm not, as you know that, but I sometimes act like one, I would start to look at the applications that are out there in the Apple applications. What can I download to start learning? There's Mint out there, there's Nerd Wallet out there, there's Betterment out there. There's so many different digital programs, and many of them, even Chime, many of them take very little dollars in terms of starting the process. So the first thing I would do is go to a free app. I would start to learn about the different financial concepts, the pure basics. I would say to myself, you know what, if I can start with as little as $25, whatever the number is, and
Yeah.
say I can add
Mm,
$25 a month
mm,
to this
yeah.
investment
Mm,
basket. I can
mm,
add as little as $15 a month to my retirement savings account. I can
mm,
add as little as $15 a month to my favorite travel account. So, what you're
mm,
going to do first, find a program that you feel
mhm,
comfortable with. Make
mhm,
certain that it is also available to link to your bank
mhm,
accounts, because remember, that's where the money is. If you have direct
yeah.
deposit from your employer, it's going to link
Mm,
up to your bank accounts, and it's going to
mhm,
create an automatic sweep. I would start
mhm.
there.
Ah, okay. And Kina, you've been in the field for more than 30 years. So, what is that one lesson you would want to share? Of course, a financial lesson, and I wouldn't mind even if it's just non-financial lesson that you would want to share, especially to the youth.
Don't undersell yourself. When I started the industry 35 years ago, keep in mind, I made about
Mhm,
56 cents on the dollar. There were not a
mhm,
lot of women in Wall Street.
mhm,
So
mhm.
I believe my value was established by the street. So what I'm sharing with you is
Yeah.
do not underestimate your value. Learn
Mhm,
how to support and negotiate your value. Be
mhm,
proud of who you are, or as they say,
mhm,
be your own
mhm.
loud.
Oh, okay. I've never heard that be your own loud. That's nice. Uh-huh.
I hope you enjoy that.
Oh, yeah. So, don't undersell yourself. Know
Absolutely.
your value. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very, very important because, as a woman in the industry years
Mm-hmm.
ago, we
Mm-hmm.
wanted a seat at the table, which meant we wanted to have the privilege of being involved in an executive discussion.
Yeah.
To be able to do that, be very,
Mm-hmm.
very, uh, how do I say, supportive of your value proposition. And I share this, like if I met you in an elevator, Sheila, and you said to
Mm-hmm.
me, who are you? What are you? And why should I work with you? You need to have that written on your hand. That is your 1 minute elevator speech. So if somebody, even in a job interview, said, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
What is your unique value proposition? Why should we
Mm-hmm.
hire you? Be able to
Mm-hmm.
do that in your sleep. And then people will say, you know what? That individual's confident. They know
Mm-hmm.
exactly what they bring to the table. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
person that I want to bring to my team. That is absolutely the best wisdom I can give to any young person entering into the job force or the industry.
Wow. Wow. That is super amazing. I'm glad that we brought it up, and truly it's something that we need to really consider, especially, people don't have a whole time to listen about you, but that 1 minute can make a difference and change the trajectory of your life as well as finances. So, Kina, I know people might want to reach out to you and maybe have further discussions with you. You could share with us your contact or how they can access you.
The easiest thing to, and it's actually done with a scheduler, just go on to
Mhm, mhm,
www.lifelogix.com and you can
mhm,
actually book an appointment with me on my website. That's the
mhm,
best thing to do. The other way of doing it, I am
mhm,
always on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn.
mhm,
That's perfect. Just say, I saw it, I heard you with Sheila. I would love to connect with you. Just send me a
mhm,
message, an invitation and link. I'm on there at least 3 hours a day. If you are a
mhm,
person that likes to tweet, follow me on
mhm,
Twitter because I like to
mhm,
tweet a couple times a day. So I think the
mhm,
easiest thing is go on my website,
mhm,
connect with me on LinkedIn. I really love when young people connect with me because then I know that they're intentional, as we talked about
mhm.
at the beginning,
Yeah.
and it gives me an opportunity for them to see my profile and to also
Mhm.
look at what I can offer to them. I think that's the easiest way of doing it.
Absolutely. I will also attach the link to your website in
Perfect.
the below this show, so that anyone can get access to you. So until then, thank you so much for coming in, Kina. We really appreciate your time with us, and thank you for the wisdom you've shared with us. I believe it's going to impact a lot of people, not just the young, but also the old. To our audience, thank you so much for being here with us. We hope you've learned something, and most importantly, put it into action. Don't just learn, make use of it so that you can see results. Until then, we'll see you next Wednesday. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.